Solving quadratic equations by factoring. This is a big one. Alrighty, here we go. Now the first box is bouncing in and there. You probably don't need to write down, because it's a box that explains foiling to you. Hopefully you made it this far and you know how to foil. Alright, so you probably don't need to write this down. Okay? What you do need to write down is that bottom box. Okay, zero product property. It's one of the most simplest, common sense, important properties we talk about. And we don't talk about a lot of properties, but this one we do a little bit. Here's what it reads. For any real numbers a and b, if a times b equals 0, then either a equals 0, b equals 0, or they're both 0. Well, that makes sense, because if you're multiplying two things together and you get an answer of 0, which is what this part says, at least one of them have to be 0, right? Yeah? Okay. Which they apply this logic. Here's two things being multiplied equals 0. Here's those two things split apart equals 0. Okay, everybody see that? They apply that logic down here in the example. X plus 3 times x minus 5 equals 0. Then you can say x plus 3 equals 0 or x minus 5 equals 0. Where this is going to come in play today is you're going to factor. You're going to turn these guys that are trinomials into two binomials like this. You're going to unfoil these. That's what today is about. Okay, so two problems, two separate problems. One says factor x squared plus 9x plus 20. The other one says solve x squared plus 9x plus 20 equals 0. There's a difference between these two. There's a big difference between these two. This one says factor, this one says solve. Well, duh, Mormon, but here's the difference, okay? In order to factor these, let's see if we can jog some memories here. You're going to look for your multiply number and your add number. Does anybody remember what your multiply number is? The 20. Good. Multiply number is 20. Your add number is 9. Good. And you're going to try to figure out, your goal here is to figure out what two numbers multiply to 20 and add 9. 4 and 5. Multiply to 20. Add to 9. Because, remember what you're doing. You are unfoiling this trinomial. So if you were to refoil it, it should give you x squared plus 9x plus 20. So check it. X times x, x squared. Fantastic. X plus 5, 5x. Or 4 times x, 4x. 5x plus 4x, 9x. Fantastic. 4 times 5, 20. Yay. And that's it for that one. The end. That's for that one that says factor. This one over here says solve. Your process to do it is the exact same way. You still figure out your multiply number is 20, your add number is 9, and you get your two factors, which are x plus 4 and x plus 5. Nothing changes there. Except now you have to tag along this equals 0. Okay? Remember, when you're solving equations, you're trying to figure out which numbers are going to make that equation true. Okay, you want to see what numbers you can plug into this top part and it give you 0 on both sides of the equation. The way you do this is this. You have this multiplication between these two, right? Everybody see that? X plus 4, x plus 5 equals 0. Just like how you wrote it down when you wrote down the zero product property and they split them off there, you're going to split them off here. X plus 4 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. And then there are your two answers after you solve. So subtract 4. So x equals -4. Subtract 5. X equals -5. Alright. You can see the similarities. Alright. There's not major differences, right? You still factor these over here. You factor when you solve also, but the difference is, sorry, I'm boring myself even. The difference is, from here, you have to split them off into two separate problems and solve each. That's the difference on the directions, and that's important to make sure you understand when you are solving and you get numbers, and when you are factoring and you just get binomials. It's a big difference. Multiply number on the first one is 40. Add numbers 13. Okay, now the process doesn't change, but numbers do. Okay, so make sure you know your process on how to do this. You need to figure out the numbers that multiply to 40, add up to 13. 8 and 5. So plus 8, plus 5. X plus 8 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. X equals -8. X equals -5. And there you go. Gosh, no. Come on now. What do you think? Solve x squared minus 2x minus 35. Multiplied number on this one is -35. Your add number is -2. All right, now, so what numbers multiply to -35?
5 and -7.
5 and 7. What else?
Sorry. -7.
Just do 35. 5 and 7. And
35
35 and 1. Thank you. Don't forget about 35 and 1, or that number that's there and 1, okay? People always forget about that. They're like, this is so hard. I'm like, no, it's not. All right? Like the 35 and the 1 combo, or whatever number it is combo, like people mess that one up all the time.
Wait.
But in this case, it's 5 and 7. So x 7, x 5. Now, once your signs go change into negative, you have to be careful with your signs. All right, which one's plus, which one's minus in this case? 7 is minus, 5 is plus. Because they need to add up to -2. Everybody see that? In that step, in that FOIL step, right? Okay. But then when you split them off and go for your answer, because you are solving these, you're going to get x equals +7 and x equals -5.
To bring the bottom to the top?
Eventually.
But I don't know
Okay.
how.
Now, at this point behind, from this point backwards, pretty much every math teacher lied to you, including me. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Okay. About this. Okay. Wow. Your multiplied number is not just C. It's not just that last number. Your multiplied number is and always has been A times C. It's just A's always been 1, so you haven't really cared. Okay? But your multiplied number is actually A times C with these. Okay? Now this is a little bit lengthier process. Okay? But you still start off the same way. You go for your multiplied number, you go for your add number. So your multiplied number, keeping in mind that now you're looking at A times C, AX squared plus BX plus C. So 12 times -15 gives you what? -180. Your add number always stays the same, and it's, in this case, is -8. Okay? So like I said, process pretty much starts the same way. Now, you're going to set up your two binomials, sorry, as if this information right here is what you're focused on. Your multiplied number, your add number. So you figure out two numbers that multiply to -180, add to -8. Those two numbers are... It's a pretty simple one. No. Signs?
Negative 10. Wait, no, negative 18.
Negative 18.
Oh. Okay.
Minus 18 plus 10. Yes. Multiply to negative 180. Add up to negative 8. Right? Everybody good so far? Okay. Now, those don't FOIL back to 12x squared minus 8x minus 15. Which is where the weirdness, craziness starts. Okay? Here's how you work this. You take 12, because 12 is A. Okay, so you really just take A. And you put it underneath each of these numbers.
Is this where the bottom comes up?
Not yet.
Wait, just the number?
Just the numbers. Not the X, not the sign, just the number. So you turn it into two fractions, basically. Okay? And if you guys know anything about me and fractions, you should always do what? Reduce them. So you get X minus 3 halves and X plus 5/6. Right? Which still doesn't FOIL back to 12x squared minus 8x minus 15. So this is where
The bottom.
the bottom goes up. The bottom goes up. Up in front of the x.
I understand.
2x minus 3. 6x plus 5.
Yeah, isn't there a way?
Now your second one here on the screen, 12x squared minus 8x minus 15 equals 0. Same setup, except this one is an equation which we solve. But it factors the same way. So I'm going to pick it up from there, okay? So we have 2x minus 3, 6x plus 5 equals 0. Split them off. 2x minus 3 equals 0. 6x plus 5 equals 0. 2x equals 3. X equals 3 halves. 6x equals negative 5. X equals negative 5/6. Alright. They're the same thing here.
Wait, so
Oh.
that's why you don't want to see that?
See that? They're the same thing. So I just picked it up from down here and solved it.
So last time,
So what's your multiply number? 120. What's your add number? Negative 23. Alright, so multiply number is now 120. Add number negative 23. What you got? And? Sign? It is not. It's a negative. Negative 15 and negative 8, right? Your signs got to matter here, guys. Okay, pay attention to those. Alright, doesn't get you back to 6x squared. That's because you got to put 6 underneath each of these. Divide by 6. Divide by 6. Fantastic. Which gives you x minus, let's see, 3 into each of those, so 5 halves, alright? And 2 into each of those, so x minus 4/3 equals 0. Now, I'm going to do the bottoms up part, just so you guys get used to seeing it. Alright, so 2 in front of the x there, 3 in front of the x there, 2x minus 5 times 3x minus 4 equals 0. Then you split them off. 2x minus 5 equals 0, which means x equals 5 halves. 3x minus 4 equals 0, which means x equals 4/3. Okay. Remember, equations, you're looking for what makes the equation true. If If you plug those two numbers in for these x's, you simplify it down, you get 0 on both sides. That's what you want, okay? So make sure you pay attention to directions, whether it's an equation and you're solving, or whether it's an expression and you're factoring. Cool?